am setting up the Phasmo to play with the Liz, who has not appeared in my group thing. Oh no. I need to get to Phasmo. There it is. I did it. I'm the champion. Now, Phasmo. Oh, Fritz is meowing at me. I am speaking in a normal tone. This is how I always sound. If you remember otherwise, you're crazy and wrong. Initializing. Oh shit. We're here. No spoilers. Multiplayer. Connected. 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 Create room. Privat. Create room. Shift tab. Invite to play. Shift tab. There's also Spritz, who has played for 88 minutes. I don't know how he managed to get it to run. It doesn't seem like something his computer could do. Spritz, tell us the mystery.
Bro.
Hi. It's Lizzie. I tried to combine our chats.
It's me.
But I don't think it is happy about that. I want to be the gay duck. It's trans as fuck. Anyway, hi Liz. Welcome to the Easter event. If you look behind you, you're being watched. Don't worry about it.
Transition.
Transition.
Hello.
Hi. I should also transition. And also change scenes. Okay. Anyway, sorry I was late. I was adding texture to my bush. Really shaping it nicely.
I noticed, that's why I had to ask.
I was just waiting. I lost track of time. I was gabbing and showing off my bush. Anyway, hey, look around the room. It's fancy. Oh. Well, sucks to be that thing.
Thank you for the follow.
Yo, you got followed? Damn. Is our chat merge thing not working? Is it all fucked?
Start sharing chat.
I invited you.
That doesn't...
I said invite guests. Invite Liz.
That's what I thought.
Send invite. It's a pop-up on your thing. It has a link I can copy.
Oh, there we go. I got it.
Oh.
Join session.
Oh.
That make it work?
I believe so. Oops, I broke everything on my end by clicking the wrong window. Let me go back to my my stream manager. Bam. Yes.
It says there it be.
Okay. Hey, look, we have it working. All right. Hey, did you say you set up bingo on your end too?
Yeah, I just don't know how to turn it on.
Refresh mine. My bingo icon is not loading. Don't tell me bingo's down. The bingo is half the fun. Oh, there it is. Okay, good. Okay, good. I don't have to kill anyone. Bingo's fine. Bingo's fine. Let's just do Phasmo only, because that's working really well.
Turned it on.
Actually, wait. Okay, Liz, I'm going to let you help me decide. Do we include the Chaos Kit?
Yes.
Okay. Phasmo and Chaos. Bingo has started. I'm
Probably
buying.
change back to the correct category on my side.
Liz has to learn how to set up the bingo. How is it that we have static models that are not customizable and your shoulder is still clipping through your shirt?
We just don't know.
They'll update this eventually. They're working on it, they swear. Do you want to be jealous of me? I have Lindor
Yes.
truffles. They are dark chocolate truffles, and they are going into my mouth hole. I also had Taco Bell for food because, shut up. Nailed it. Yeah, this roof nasty. Oh,
Yeah.
there's like nests on the ceiling. The bunny. The bunny. Oh, we love the bunny. Gave everything that we had for the bunny. That. A little more chocolate colored this year. I kind of want to lick it, but it looks a little moldy too.
Fix it.
That song is from Veggie Tales, Rock Shack and Benny.
There we go. I figured it out.
It is from the.
Now my phone goes activated.
It's a retelling of the biblical tale of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. That's right. I don't remember Jesus with a whip, but I remember that. So, your bingo's working?
Yeah.
Nice.
Is there a way to make this dinky little thing bigger? Guess not. I'm just gonna have to use my eyes. Okay. I think we're ready on my end.
He's saying something. I heard it, but you see, I'm up to mischief at the moment. Don't worry about it. I'm a normal person. All right, multiple of these? Yes. Less motion sickness. Yay. Ah, she's coming.
Hey, they took our stairs.
What? What'd they do?
They have a ramp instead of stairs now.
It's still stairs. It's just got a ramp under it. Unless you're rendering funky, in which case...
It's stairs from this angle.
Yeah.
It just looks like a ramp from this way. Okay.
That's okay. Don't forget the most important thing. Pay tribute. And since you have paid tribute, you should have access to this lovely trophy over here. Oh, yeah. What do you think? Hi, Solar. Thank you, Solar. What do we got? What do we got going on? First hollow. We get all the same shit. Liz, are you dying? Oh, hey, I kept my progress.
I don't know what's going on with me.
I kept my progress on the next trophy. That's cool. I'm at 9% to trophy level 2.
Oh, yeah.
Hooray!
I'm at 47% to something.
Is it the top thing? That gets you the trophy thing for your shelf and the ID cards, I believe.
I'm 47% away to the upgradable event trophy.
Nice. Oh, so you get upgrade 1. Well, cool. Now I am dry humping your leg. Very normal. Okay. So,
I can't believe this.
what? What'd you
I
say?
can't believe you would do that.
That I would dry hump your leg? Have we met? I am a weird little animal, so... Okay, let's see if we remember where we're at. Oh yeah, it did. It did. It remembered where we're at. We are at 1.93%. So, we did our updates, right? And you have a bingo running, and
Right.
I have a bingo running. So the way I see this is if someone wins bingo on either of our chats, they get the prize. Which means 2 people can get the prize in one run, because we both have a bingo running, right? which means if we get a perfect game and we both live, difficulty will go up 5 different ways if everyone gets a bingo too. That'll be great.
It's true.
Now we'll point out if it's a bingo winner,
Fun.
a bingo winner can also make something easier, and we're not allowed to change that for at least one round. That's up to them though, and not as fun. So, however, should we just hit? I don't want to hit random. Because every time we hit random, we get fucking Sunny Meadows. Oh, we got 3. We got maps with the we got 4 maps actually. We got the farmhouse, Ridgeview, the diner, and the lighthouse today for the event. You want to start with the diner? You like the diner?
I like the diner.
We both voted diner. You know we can vote on
It's
2.
really a little terrifying sometimes.
We can vote on different things and we'll just pick one randomly. We never do, but we can. That is an option. Spritz is like, do the lighthouse. Tell you what, Spritz, you win the bingo.
Lighthouse.
You win the bingo. You get second place on the bingo. You can pick the map. If your way for it to be bigger is, if your way for it to be harder, medium maps only, then fine. But for now, no thanks. Ready when you are, Lizzie.
I should probably click the ready up button, huh?
So my secret here is I hate the lighthouse.
I am so close to this screen. All right.
I'm just not a fan of it. It's so linear and annoying to navigate. Chris likes it, but that's because Chris spent a very long time on it. He got the event.
The lighthouse is okay. It's just not my favorite.
It's such a pain if the ghost is on the top fucking floor. Is it snowing or raining? It's coming down like rain, but it could be. I think it's very thick.
It sounds. I don't know. I hear some thunder.
I thought I heard thunder too. They don't have thunder snow. That seems like a missed
3
opportunity.
pickers, 3 videos. Okay, sick.
Oh, that's not bad at all. Okay. Tools. Tools are so cool. Let's get our tools. All right, Liz. Now that we've got our tools in our hands. And our ghost hunting equipment. Let's go.
Woo!
Yeah, it's rain. It is our friend here.
It's raining.
The friend is not here. This map is cursed. Yeah, the only problem with the lighthouse is that it is a linear path up and down. It's not an interesting map, honestly, to me. It's not bad. It is a unique challenge, but with more people, it's more tolerable. Since there's 2 of us, it wouldn't be too bad. I love that. Oh, hey, there's your first hint. Something's up. Okay, so I don't remember exactly how this works. I think you have to have, like, a dots pin on you or something. When you get near certain points in the map, these nests or whatever, you can find little bunnies that are only visible through dots. If I were thinking, I would have brought a level 1 dots with us because...
I don't have that.
Yeah, that would have been smart. I forgot.
Yeah. Well,
It's like, shh.
we'll
Shush for a second. I don't know. Sometimes near these nests, you can, like, hear noise. That's your other sign there's something there. But if you come up to them with dots, they'll, like, run away and you'll get a, You'll get a reward in the form of points and the ghost doing something. But they said they changed it, so I don't know what. I just see...
Thanks for the follow, Jewel Targaryen.
I'm getting breath in the hallway. There's also 5 degrees in the hallway.
I'm getting EMF right now.
Yeah, I think it's in here. Like, I'm at 4 degrees in the hall. It's 10 degrees. Yeah, it's in the hallway.
Alright, that count.
Wow, that was fast.
Got my EMF reading photo.
Now let's see what we can find while we're not crazy. Hiding spot by ghost. Sick. No dots pen. Gotta remember dots pen. Donut. Hey, Liz. Are you hungry? Donut.
Yummy a donut?
Gonna go get the dots pen. Gonna go get the dots pen. Oh, there's my friend. Tumbleweed spotted. This run is saved. Alright. Forgot we started. What? She has a lot to say. I hope not. Oh, she's right there. You good? You alright? What happened?
I found the boat.
Oh, you found the bone. Okay. We thought you died.
No.
No?
No, I'm very much alive. I have not found the cursed object yet. But that's why I didn't throw it.
This is not an optimal way to do this, but it is the way I have. Unless they changed it, which would be a real pox on me. Yo, can you chill for a minute? I'm in the middle of something here. Spooky bitch.
Uh-oh.
Saw a shadow ghost. I was thinking I'd had my camera out.
Oh.
I think that's on the bingo. Very distracted by Bunny. So far I'm finding none Bunny, though, so I'm very frustrated.
Great.
Sarah died before finding a Bunny!
Tarot cards.
Bunny, bunny. Ah! Don't hit me! But I found a bunny, though. Yo, these toilets haunted. Bunny Hop is the name of my porn song. Hunt. She gonna get got? She might. I might. Both might. I only found one bunny. There's Bunny. Hi, Bunny. I'd check. This is spooky bitch. Also, I'm crazy as fuck. Oh, it's active, too. Is it hunting? Motherfucker. Okay. We need to actually give a fuck. I wanted to hunt more. I forgot we have this on hard-ish. Harder than we're used to. How's that? Oh. It was on top of me. Well, that bodes well. Let's see. I survived at least one. And oh, we both died. That went great.
That was an aggressive little fucker.
Yeah, we start with low sanity, remember?
Yeah, that too. I took some sanity meds, but like...
I recorded something, I don't even know what. I don't even know what my evidence was. It might have been ghost orbs. It might have been the ghost, frankly. Did we get anything on that one?
I ate $84.
You you have $84? Yeah. Yeah. I flirted with you right out the gate.
$84.
Didn't find the cursed object.
Found the bone.
You found the bone?
I got the tarot cards, which is the cursed object.
You found the tarot cards. Okay. Hold on. Bone and tarot cards, huh?
Right, I have to update bingo.
Yeah. Found the tarot cards. There they are. I went in to set the camera. I think the ghost was on top of me when I died. So that was fun. But hey, I got 7 event points because I found 2 bunnies. No, bunnies don't count as dots, ghosts. They're guaranteed during this. I'm going to count prop shenanigans because donut. I actually don't have one for bone, apparently.
I'm going to go ahead and count me being surprised by how quickly I died.
That's fair. That's fair. I'm not. I stood in the hallway.
We did already have technical difficulties in setting up bingo.
That's fair. That's also fair.
Died. I might have mispronounced somebody's name. They didn't say anything.
Okay, this is the first time this has been relevant. We both died. Something gets easier, right?
Correct.
Okay. Wow. What do we want to make easier, Liz?
Do we want to just... My initial thought is either upping us back to 100% sanity or reducing the rate at which we go insane. I guess I crouched for no reason.
I am 100% down for starting sanity, going back up.
Since that sure was a sentence.
Starting sanity is counting for 0.03x reward points. So I'm saying put that at 100 and I'm happy. Because I was at 6...
I yelled bone upon finding the bone.
What?
I yelled bone upon finding the bone. That's one of my bingo things.
Oh, that's very specific. Okay, I'm going into my thing here.
Accidentally have me dying on here twice.
I had comment on your dead body twice, so what's that say? I had to fix that.
We have tarot cards.
We know what we're about. Hey, I upped my igniter to level 2, because apparently it was level 1 still, and I'm really cool and awesome.
Would we call me getting killed first the ghost targeting me?
Probably. I mean, we both... I did mark that I lived through a hunt, because I think we both lived through one. I heard it hunting. I was hiding in the bathroom.
I lived through one.
You lived through one, I did. Because I went out to the truck and said you were still alive.
Oh, well.
Then it hunted again. It was very aggressive.
Okay.
It said Revenant. I wasn't surprised. I need... What is it? Fuck, I'm blanking
I
out.
don't have a bingo yet.
Dots projector. Literally the first thing. Level 1 dots projector, please. Just one. You're welcome to bring other dots projectors. I'm bringing a pen for the bunnies. I'm looking for the bunnies because we get points for bunnies, and points give us things for our profile that we go hee hee hoo hoo.
Hell yeah.
I'm voting for Nels because I want revenge.
I'm down to do that again.
Yeah, let's fucking...
Hey.
Bad start. Rough beginning. I am inside you. Let's start with not dying, and then we'll worry about
Yeah. Alright.
Okay.
Airpod, microphone, ghost event, and escape the ghost during a hunt. Where was that one last time?
You want to know how I'm taking things seriously? I'm not grabbing the thermometer right up the gate. That's right. Sarah's looking for bunnies, and no one can stop her. Sarah wants one thing in this life. The bunny. The bunny. I'm dressed to mate. I am dressed to mate with a bunny. So we gonna find one. Have you seen one yet? Oh my god, there was something between my toes. It's a piece of plastic. Oh, well, that's a bad start.
Those doors already open. Neat.
No bunny here, no bunny there, no bunny here. Lack of bunnies is frustrating. Found 2 last time before we died tragically. No bunny here.
I will point out I'm using the parabolic microphone, so I can't hear you unless you're literally right next to me.
Some bunny once told me that it was gonna hold me, and then it jumped right into my head.
Alright.
It leapt into my face and it made a screeching noise, and I thought, oops, I'm probably gonna get dead. Then the ghost started hunting and it didn't stop hunting till it found me and it made me running. Then it chewed all up on my head. And once again I was fucking dead. I'll do that rhyme every time because it keeps being a truth. See, I need to find a bunny. Where the fuck is the bunny? Hey you, where's the bunny? Let me have one. Can't see. I must find a bunny. Give it to me. Place be. I need a bunny somewhere.
Ghost was in the hallway. I found it.
I would also. Here's one. Also settle for a hair. That one's out of order. I think. That breath. Literally in the main room. Voodoo doll. There really only been one bunny? God damn. There's a lot of nests, though. Breath in the main area. In a dining room.
I have found the bone.
Hot. Bunny. Bunny number 2. Are you still alive?
I'm alive.
Did you know if you find a bunny and it turns gold, the ghost immediately starts hunting your ass?
I didn't know that, but I did.
Bunny 3. Hi. Did you say you found the fuse box?
I found you. No, I found the bone.
Shit. Okay.
I don't know where to look for the fuse
Oh, it's right
box.
here.
Oh, heavy.
Ghost is out here, by the way. Oh, no.
We can turn on some lights.
Yeah, I saw my breath in here and started hunting in here. Ghost out here, by the way. Found a golden bunty. Bunty? Did you turn on that?
Yeah.
That was you?
That was definitely me.
Okay, so I threw my camera somewhere, so I guess Sarah Misplace's important object is on the table. I was running for my life. Probably somewhere between me and the bathroom, right? Sanity actually quite high, believe it or not, considering. Still gonna pop a med, though, because I'm scared. Cherry flavored. Okay. Now it's time to actually start hunting the ghost. Let's do this one, this one, this one. Should have brought the camera, but I'm le dum-dum. Le poo-poo. Alright, let's see here. That book looks like shit. It is -2 degrees in here. If you have your camera, there's a freezing camera temp thing. Enjoy, or whatever. That's some okay dots coverage. Right, we have freezing temps. I do not believe at all that it's a shade. Tumbleweed spotted. Very close to the road. This time it's like right there. Very good tumbleweed. Alright. Liz, you are 40% sane, just so you know. Let's grab one of these. One of these. This bad boy. What's up, Poss?
Hello.
I leave the cave up. I should shrink the cave. Not actively using the cave, so it's just a huge render dump right now. Making my poor GPU mad at me. Problem is, it touching something in here seems like a rough time. Like, the room is half window. Fuck's sake, how are we going to find UV? I guess salt. Salt makes sense, doesn't it? Itching for nothing. Alright, real quick, since we're between steps. We have spotted freezing temps. There you go, freezing temps. Salt, firelight. She grabbed the sound recorder. I think she grabbed the thingy. Did you turn both lights off? I had two on in there. One just turned off. I assumed it was you.
I don't see any other lights.
Alright. At the moment, I am seeing none ghost orbs or anything of the sort. I'm on the camera. I see you. Yes, dance for me. Alright, board, I'm coming in. I got stuff. I'm going to put stuff out. I got fire. I've got salt. I've got only fire and salt. I feel like I should have a third thing. Motion sensor would be good. How about that? Boom. Let's get some videos. I just heard it throw. They threw something in there. I just heard it. Like a fork or some shit. I don't know what. Alright. Salt A. Salt B. Salt C. Throw. Where's my glow stick?
You friendly?
Oh, it's right there.
You want to hurt us?
I am recording everything. Want to blow out my candle? Step in my pretty salt? I'm not seeing my breath in here anymore. It didn't move, did it? Oh, there it is. Never mind. We're good.
I hope not.
It stepped. I heard steps. Ah! Disturbed salt. Glow stick. Bring camera. No feats. No feats.
Have a camera.
I see no feats. I don't think we have UV. I think we can roll out UV. Thank you very much. Would you like to blow out my candle? Maybe give me Dot's evidence? You know you wanna. Oh, I love when the lighting doesn't know what life is. Alright, I'm gonna put this on the stand. Oh, motion sensor. I put down the motion sensor. I'm around the truck. So far, I see nothing but your smiling face. Now I don't even see that. Put it low to the ground, so if we're short, we'd be fine. Crawler should still set that off. Obviously, it's a big room. We can pass through here whenever. I didn't get motion sensor. God, okay. Haven't witnessed a ghost event yet. Your sanity's going down. Fire extinguished, fire extinguished, fire. Got it. Got the fire extinguished as video. Okay. So, I am almost certain not UV because we had 3 salt, 0 footprints, right? I haven't seen dots yet. Have you had EMF 5 at all? So you crazy. Motion sensed. Okay. Well, if only I had caught that. But it's there. It's possible. Oh. Well, I got the motion sense recording, I guess. And then it threw our camera on the ground. I'm going to bring in the other tripod. In fact, Let's go the extra mile here. Let's bring in the other camera. Good idea. Respond to everyone? It does. 3 photos. Oh, you got a ghost photo? Nice. Are you muted? Or have you just forgotten push to talk or something?
Bro?
There you go.
Oh, weird. Okay. I was going to say, if you'll notice, the activity is spiking because we're not in the room. Well, we're not in the room.
Ooh. I did.
And if we eliminate Spirit Box, because I haven't gotten a response off that, and the Ultraviolet, Shade is one of the, 3 options left.
Interesting. I kind of ruled out Shade because it started hunting, but that was a special condition because of the bony.
Yeah.
That's okay. No, because we heard noise when we were outside. All right. Well, let's we'll move with that in mind. How do we prove Shade then? Let's see. Shade. EMF 5 ghost
riding, freezing temperatures.
Okay, so we just need ghost riding, and EMF 5 is going to be hard from outside, but it's doable. And ghost riding would have... Oops. Well, you know what? F. I was doing this with the hope of catching, something on camera facing the other way. This camera can pan, you see. Fresh coffee. Didn't that say cherry pie before? Did they actually change it? Whoa. Okay, I didn't expect that. I think I literally just heard an EMF 5. We have ghost riding if you got a photo. Okay, and it's very cold. So far so good. I thought I heard EMF 5.
God damn it.
What up? Did you miss?
I took a picture when I shouldn't have.
You bitch. Now I have to send you to the eebiest of DBs. Sound recording. I don't know what we need for sound recording right now. Any. Sound recording with a
I don't know how we're gonna get any sound recordings. This doesn't want to do anything.
You have to leave the room and hope to God it doesn't hunt your ass. Up to you. It's not easy. How's that? I bet anything if we put a sound sensor in here, we'd get something. I think Lizzie's right. I think we might have a ghost identified with secondary evidence, and I didn't even have to do it. That feels awesome. Let's see here. Ghost riding. I thought EMF 5, but I can't prove it yet, so we're not doing it yet. Okay. That FOB is weird. Candles just got blown.
So insane.
Well, I mean, I knew that, but also same. It's okay, Liz. We'll be insane together. Yeah. We've witnessed ghost event. We could call it. We're pretty confident, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty confident.
And getting
ghost riding. So
getting
either a revenant or a shade. If it was a revenant, it would have killed us by now.
If it was a revenant, it would have beat our ass. Yeah. It the last one was a revenant. You saw how chill it was.
Oh yeah.
There's a special achievement for surviving a hunt of a revenant. They're mean. I'm down to call it shade. I am agreeing with you. And I could swear I heard EMF 5 on the beat.
I'm down too.
And I could be wrong about hearing the EMF 5, but I thought it was. I don't want to sit here all day trying to get sounds from a bitch that's quiet. Unless it's...
agreed.
I mean, if it was a sexy bitch making quiet... whatever, I'm hitting the button. You ready?
Yes.
Try not to R-rate your stream here. I'm a pervert. I mean, you have to be. All right, what's our verdict? All right.
Oh yeah, we got it.
Liz got a ghost photo. We identified the ghost with secondary evidence. Good job, Liz. That means the EMF5 was not hallucinated. $300 bonus for leveling up, which feels great compared to the $1,600 I got just for doing that. Damn. Why did we make... Oh, dailies. Oh, Cursed Hollow doubled money, Liz.
Ooh, hell yeah.
We're getting double XP, Liz. And Voodoo Doll was found. Ghost blew out fire.
I called that one, right?
I definitely misplaced my camera. I wouldn't say what I was doing was hiding in the truck. Liz did say she's insane, so we're going to go ahead and go with that. Okay? I am now joining my own bingo.
Alright.
It's been 2 rounds and no one's got a bingo yet. To be fair, either the fuck do I.
Random singing.
I don't think I put singing on mine, do I?
Picture.
You might have more than me. You might have some fun one. I should make notes.
We correctly identified the ghost with incomplete evidence.
Here's my notepad. I'm stealing some
I'm
of
going to
this.
save correctly identifying the ghost. Alright.
Oh my god, Liz, stop.
A little sassy with the ghost, but not really.
The top viewers at streamboo.com. Tell you what, streamboo.com, if you want to sponsor me, I'll let you. Otherwise, get the fuck out of my chat. Okay, we're between rounds. I'm gonna go potty real quick. You can run ads too!
I escaped the hunting ghost.
And both do it. Add friends. Happen. Oh, but first we have to decide. We both lived and we got it right, so that's 3. Or, yeah, it's 3. No, it's 2. 3 if we get a perfect game. Or is it 4 if we get a perfect game? Liz, it's been a whole week. I don't remember my rules. And your husband's dying.
Ah, I can mark off your heard Mr. List coughing.
Okay. You mark stuff. I'm going to pee real quick. I'll run an ad. I'll be right back.
I'm just gonna let my ads do my ads themselves. We got the Voodoo Doll. We got ghost writing, and freezing temps. I'm pretty sure I went insane. Alright. Good news! If I can just manage for there to be 10 of you at one time, I'll have a bingo. No. Not super corn.
Okay, I'm back. I think Limited needs someone... No, I don't know why Limited would need... I don't have any, I don't have the bits ones on, so... Please hand your currency for the rabbit lady. You know, I'll take it, though. Please do give me your currency. I will. I promise, though, the PNG tuber is not equipped to do this. I will absolutely shove it in the cleavage. Just for you. Slowly stuffing it until it's just money pouring. Except it's Twitch money, so it's sharp and pointy little diamonds. Oh, no. Liz, I made a mistake.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
What'd you do?
I shoved my top full of sharp, pointy diamonds. In theory.
Oops. Don't do that.
Okay, it's time for the consequences of our actions, right?
True.
If I remember right, we both live, so we both pick one thing. We got the ghost right, so we pick a third. It's perfect, we pick a fourth. If someone wins bingo, they get to pick one too. God help us.
Hell yeah.
But for now, and if we both die, we get to drop one. That's the only way this gets easier. So, what would you like yours to be? Your harder thing.
Hmm. Just lower our starting sanity back down.
Okay. And that is okay. Well, I'm gonna do. Wow. Okay. I'm dropping our sanity pill restoration to 25 because apparently that is limiting how much starting sanity actually gives us for reward. Until 20. No, until 10. And then sanity pill restoration gets mad at us for having starting sanity. So these two are working together to fuck with us. Yes, dear. Oh, I need to be borrowed for a moment, please. Just a second. And then we'll decide what our third one is. All right, Liz, I have to step away from the keyboard for a second. If I come back and there's a Willy or something, I'm going to be really, really weird about it. Not upset, just weird about it. So you know, I'll be weird.
Okay. Be weird. That should be enough breaks. Don't mind me. Platoon. Okay. Now I need something. Oh no. That's very wrong. Of course. Well, that wasn't too bad. That's fine. No, it's not. Oh my. Alright. That'll do. There we go. A perfectly normal thing for you to come back and find when you're ready. Oh, an ad break starting soon. Perfect timing. Look at that. I got 3% of my personal goal.
Really? Dang.
I don't know how that got there.
Can't believe you just show someone your boobs like that. The whole Twitch chat? Oh, you nasty. I like it. Derp. Is that weird enough? Was I weird enough? I can be weirder. Stepping on your tits.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
I mean, you are a lady, so that's at least acceptable.
It's acceptable to step on your tits? Good to know?
Ladies can step on me, that's fine.
Are you good where you're at? Dead?
Ladies and nutmeg and avocado.
Okay. Get you anything? Fire is all get out. Here we go. Okay. Ladies and the dogs can step on you. And Avocado's the cat, isn't it? Okay, I need to apologize to the chat for delaying things. So I am going to go ahead and I'm going to call a vote. Anyone playing can now pick a thing to vote for over the next 2 minutes that they need for their bingo. Play your odds, children. Liz. It's oh, we haven't agreed on our third thing yet. What should our third thing be?
That's a good question.
What? Really? Favorite room does that little? Fuck that. Our rewards seem to be capped right now. Oh, we can turn down event frequency so it's not so mean to us. Okay. Boom. Apply. Now, what is restricting us right now? It's just setup time.
Setup time.
It's setup time. That's fine. We can nix that next time. We can nix that next time. Voting has about 40 seconds left. What maps shall we pick? Oh, you say Ridgeview? I'm fine with that. Let's go to Ridgeview. Ready when you are.
Sounds good.
Hey, do you need anything before I get into it? Okay. My poor wife is extremely stoned. Everyone be nice to her. You're allowed to laugh because if I recall
I would say
correctly,
same about my husband, but
apparently she likes your laugh, if I remember right. So
ooh,
I know.
crucifix, ghost video, incense ghost.
And I've got
Why
my.
is this over? Did you put this here?
Yes, because I forgot Dot's pen. I gotta find bunnies. It's
Okay.
extremely important to find the bunnies. It's why I'm here.
True.
Apparently, the vote was for me flirting with the ghost. Somehow, we've gone 2 rounds without me doing that, and now Malka has won, which means Malka gets to pick his prize next time. I like how our hand is just a floating shadow. Like if you get behind me with your flashlight,
Yeah,
like there. What's your shadow for me on your end? Are you just a floating
all I
hand?
see is a bit of your hair.
Oh, I'm behind you. See, when you're behind me, I could see my hand floating in front of me. Like the shadow is just my hand, not my body.
In front of you too.
Oh.
Not like on the wall, it just is in front of you.
Okay. Bunnyless. Well, I mean, there's that in there. Hiding spot. Yo, it raining all the time, huh? Now let's start with the Basmont.
Yeah, that's what we got set. We've got it storming all the time, remember?
That's right! I forgot! Bro, it's dark as fuck down here.
I just got the brain.
You just got the what?
The lights should work now.
Excellent work. Bunny, 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 bunny.
I don't like it in here.
The problem with this entire thing
Hello.
is the green makes it really hard to tell if you have lights on or not.
Right.
No hiding in garage. That sucks. Oh, bunny. One bunny found. Garage light just turned itself off. Never mind, fuse box turned itself off. Fuse box is back on. My goal is to find bunnies. The more bunnies I can find, the more points we... I found the bone. It was a big rack of ribs in the kitchen. On these streams, we love us a big rack. Right. Thunder, lightning, very, very frightening me. Bunny. Bunny 2 found. Ooh. Bunny 2 found and scared. In the tub is Bunny's kissing. Bunny 3 found. survived. Spooky. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Alright, enough looking for bunnies, I guess. I wanted to find them all, but like, holy shit, we don't even know where the ghost is yet. That is such a fast fucking drain. Holy crap. Okay. New priorities. Jesus. What did I do? Okay. Damn. Alright. Liz was upstairs. Okay, sanity management's gonna be priority uno. This is bad. This is really bad. Garage is way colder. That's a huge sign. Garage is markedly colder, but not cold enough. I'm like, yeah, this is the ghost. I don't know if I think it roamed through me. Really? Okay, slut. Is this where you're at? This one room? So be it. So fucking be it. Here's the dirty secret, Ghost of Liz. No, I'm not. I am familiar with this specific house in a horrifying context, by which I mean played this on Nightmare. So, ever I've had a frickin' chance. Alright, I got 2 winners. So, I think Limited picks the map next time. Let's see what happens. Preferably one of the event ones, unless you're feeling mean. We got Ghost Orbs. That's an excellent start. Fuck you. I don't even know where she died. Oh my gosh. Okay. Okay, we got Ghost Orbs spotted. I don't have one for Liz dying. I have one for me commenting on her body. Which would be a free thing if I could find it. Another news, bingo. Okay. Shit, dude. It's not even a good spot for a lot of these tests. Like, that is hard to check for a lot of things. That's hard to check for dots. It's such a mean spot. Okay. Ghost Orbs technically doesn't tell me shit. I have no idea. None of these make sense yet. It was looking everywhere. I don't think it was a Banshee, because I heard it get real close to me a few times. Ghost writing. This bitch. You. Well, I have the higher sanity. Okay. Okay. If... Really? That is deeply unhelpful. Yeah, that's what I wanted. You're right. Is it safe? Are you nearby? How did you die? Okay, we have dots. Cool. Talk to me, whore. Why are you so scaly? Did you kill my friend? Alright. We have dots. We know we have dots. If we can get the angle, we have dots. Fine. Dots projector. Mark that on the damn bingo, too. Damn. Damn. Raiju, Yurei, Yokai, Thay. Oh, man. Touch my book. See, I can see the ghost, but I can't get a photo of it to save my life. It's just a really rough place to get that. I have some ideas. Pretty quick, too. Ugh, I don't know. This is why I don't like the level 3 one, is because it sweeps around, which makes it easier to see, but harder to record. Okay. I'll check for... It almost looks like there is ghost writing, but I don't think there is, but we'll check it. We need dots. We need... No, that's not... That ain't gonna cut it. Give me that thing. How are we doing? We're doing okay. Noted. Video of the ghost. The dots would count. That's really irritating. Okay. That's fine. We're working on it. We got ideas. We got ideas. Are the lights out again? Please don't have the lights out again. I really need the lights. They make me not cray-cray. Motherfucker. I hate you. We do not have dots. We have UV, though. Okay, ultraviolet. If I turn off dots, Mimic is not on the list. We are dealing with a Banshee, so okay. Fine. We know it's a Banshee. I'm not going for a perfect game like this, but there are a couple things I can do really easily without too much beef. Step 1, grab this. The little one will do me fine for purpose. Oh, hey, there's Liz. Record it. Sack of shit. Down the stairs, honey. Okay. Just face down. I cannot believe the ghost actually pushed you down the stairs. Did that not get recorded for sound? Evil. Okay. Face down, ass up, trying to solve the sack. Okay. I don't want to do this too much longer. I'm starting to push my luck. I'm pretty good at living here if I just can keep away enough to get to somewhere to hide. That'll do. I saw that. Works for me, bitch. Okay, we've cleansed the area near it with incense. I can get a video of Dot's ghost there. That bitch ran down the hallway like a little monster. So in theory, just sitting here, should have a good chance of spotting it. Better chance if that were consistent. There's things I can do about that. This would count as ghost video. Keep in mind. Alright, let me think. You'll get me at least 2 of these. Crucifix would be good. Give me that. We know what you are. I need 1 more photo. Dots would count for photo, too. Okay, lights the hallway. We're going to pop this in the hallway. Either of these goes off, that's one of the 3 things. So I should make that a bingo. All tasks. There. I'm making notes this time. I'm not forgetting these again halfway through like I keep doing. There. Hallway is covered pretty well. This... Put this right the fuck here. That's a fun one. I know what to do for that last photo, worst case. We're going to get some of this. Okay, we're going to get some money. She gets half the money. So the more I do, the less in debt she goes. Ugh. Okay, please show up. Please show up. I've seen you in this fucking hallway. Do it. Do it for me. Yes, spooky bitch. Can't even alt-tab the manage bingo or it stops recording. It was so active. And now it's not. It's mocking me. This is where I wish Liz could just go dance up and down on it, but unfortunately that doesn't count. It'd be cool if you could see your friends though. That'd be fun. I guess it would also be confusing, but like, you're the dead ones, so. By the time the ghost throws a donut at you, I think you'd know. You know what I mean? This would get ghost video extremely easily, and that's what I would like. But unfortunately, it's not really working with me right now. I just wonder if I have to have it in its room for it to respond. Shit. I don't know. This should be a great spot for it, too. Right. What do we got? I have video sound. I have 2 sounds. I think they're the same. Nope, scream and talking. Those are different. Fuck you. EMF is a good backup photo if I can get it. Any EMF reading would count. Burning Cross would count for photo or video, though I would really like the ghost video if I can at all. Fucking, of course. New plan. That makes sense. It's a Banshee, Sarah. On dots, a Banshee will always run towards its target. If its target's not there, you're not going to see it. So, fair enough. Right? Fine. Give me this. Hey, it hasn't even triggered a crucifix yet, so I don't know. I have room for 1 more sound. A ghost event would be a good one. I don't know what the cursed object was or if we ever found it. Show yourself. Please. I need you on video. You killed my friend. You owe me. Fuck this. Give me dots, man. Alright. I tried. Liz is dead. Sorry, Lizzie. I did my best to make you some money back, but it's being boring and annoying. So you can call this Sarah getting impatient, but we've been here for a fucking while. And it's not that fun to be dead in this game, frankly. So, I lived through a hunt. I'm good with that. It did the crucifix at some point, apparently. I missed that. So we didn't fill up anything. Sorry, anyone who needed that, but Bingo's about to reset anyway. Evidence is Banshee, dots, ultraviolet, and orb. I checked for mimic chance, no mimic chance. Hope that's solid. I'm going to hit the button in 3, 2, 1, and boop. Ugh. UV evidence. Sarah gets impatient. Yeah.
There's some jobs ready for you.
How you doing, Lizzie?
Oh, you know, I died. Like Delimited got a bingo on my bingo. I also got a bingo on my bingo, but I'm not counting me.
Hold on just a sec. What was that last thing you said? Sorry.
I also got a bingo on my bingo, but I'm not counting me.
That's fair. Okay. Here's the deal. Anyone on my bingo? It's about to reset. First things first. Malka 1. Malka, if you are still present and accounted for, you get to choose which thing gets harder. Whatever floats your fancy. If you're not present and accounted for, I'll pass it to limited here in a minute. In the meantime, what do you think we should do as our mutual one, Lizzie?
It's a good question. Let me look. And I guess we're kind of capped until we reduce the setup time, right?
Yeah. That's true.
I think probably ought to be that one.
Alright, that makes sense. Boom. Yo, 2.08. You know, I'm going to be extra spicy since 60 seconds is basically useless. I'm going to use mine to make that a solid 30 seconds. For real?
Hell yeah.
Can we just make that 0? There is not a difficulty option to make it random maps. However, if you really want, we can do random for the next round. I will not make it random every round because if we choose random, it almost always dicks us over really bad.
Yeah.
It almost always tosses us into, like, sanatorium. It's never done high school. I don't think I've ever done the high school. Huh?
I haven't done the high school either.
If the high school were on the event, I'd be more down. And for the record, the event maps are these Ridgeview, Nell's Diner, Grafton Farmhouse, and Point Hope, which is the lighthouse today. Those are the ones where we actually get any participation points. Or we can put it on a random if that's what you want. No sprinting. Yo, that's going to bump up some difficulty. All right, where is it? Setup time.
No.
Yeah, we're both like, oh, fuck, man, all right. Oh, that's worth 50% by itself. Okay. Limited. If you're still there, you can pick the map. Preferably one of the 4. But I can't argue if not. Oh yeah, Malk, I guarantee you, if we both die, the first thing we're turning back on is those. That's not even just we're like, needed it to live. That's I'm lazy. Let me move fast. I'm a Sonic fan. You evil bitch. Oh. Oh, and for the record, Liz, in case you didn't know, the maps that have the event rotate every day. Every single day. Alright, Limited picks the map, and since we've had 3 winners even, I am going to reset the bingo while he thinks about that. So, I am going to call random once. Calling random once for fun. And you have 5 seconds at the end of this sentence to claim any bingos.
Calling all my events.
Bam.
You're in here, you can get
Yeah,
your
yeah.
bingo really quick.
I like ending streams with that one. I think that one's fun to end on. Alright, we're doing Phasmo and Chaos. 47 events. Good luck, everybody. I don't join the bingo until at least a round or 2 in. The Diner. Limited has chosen the Diner. I'm fine with the Diner.
We love the Diner.
Yeah, we love the Diner in this house. Alright. I don't have enough money to upgrade, do I? Oh, I do, Lizzie.
Alright. New bingo started.
I can get the level 2 sound recorder.
Do I have anything?
Oh, I love that one. I got level 2 sanity meds, but it really doesn't help right now.
I can upgrade my sound sensor.
I'm upgrading my incense. It helps both of us.
Oh, I need $10,000 to upgrade my headgears. Which, if we had more players, might be useful, but we don't.
What was it?
I could upgrade my headgear, but we don't have... I think that seems a lot more useful when you have, like, 3 or 4 players in the game versus just 2.
If we could talk Kaz into being the truck, but did those horns grow? Look behind you.
They might have.
I could swear when we got on there were little nubs.
I mean, I'm pretty sure when I started, there was, like, it was just nothing. So... This guy's gonna, like, break our ceiling, dude.
Nice. Fuck that ceiling. They'll replace it at the end of the event anyway, whatever. Okay. I've upgraded my thing, and again, it's like 1,600 if we actually live, so... Good money. Good luck.
12 whole Easter points. Alright. I'm ready.
Sit, Jen, you don't have to claim my home office.
And prepare accordingly before starting the investigation. There have been new reports of a cursed object nearby. This must be the reason that the ghost was summoned here. Take a look. You may be able to use it to your advantage.
Post video, EMF reader photo, sound recorder, paranormal sounds. Cool.
Oh, I forgot already that we can't run. Oh! Hey, look, a van.
This is gonna be so.
That's just a truck.
This is gonna be painful.
Broken
You're
legs,
just gonna hear
ghost
the
squad.
fucking jingle jangle of bones behind you and then die.
Yeah, well. At least I upgraded the incense.
Oh man.
Oh, it might be by the front again. I think this goes both ways. Never mind.
I've never gotten it to go the other way. This one goes both ways.
Oh no.
Oh.
Try the main hallway, I guess. I'm gonna start looking for bunnies. I don't know. Fuck.
Alright.
At least it's worth 50% rewards.
Oh, no tarot cards.
Oh, I didn't know Malca was fucking evil. Oh. Alright. Bruh. It's for the content, dude. It's for the content. God, a bunny would be great. There's one. One bunny found.
Oh, fuck. Fuck, 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 fuck.
Shit, we have it on extending. Bye. Well. Sure. You keep hunting, you little shit. There's no one left. There's no one left. Unless Liz got away from you, and it sure shit didn't sound like it. Now I can sprint. Did she actually get away? I thought I heard her straight up die. I thought I heard her get totally crunched. She's still... It's hunting again. Fuck off. Cheap viewers online. You're not even stream boo. Fuck.
I don't want to be the winner. I don't want to be the sole survivor.
Don't worry, I'm just a parrot haunting your shoulder, Lizzie.
Oh my god. Alright. Well. That's, sure was a ghost.
Sure was a ghost. Oh, it was aggressive, whatever it was.
Okay, well, I might as well take sanity meds and see if that does anything for me.
Where do we even start at this point? Like, it's so fucked. Ugh. I'm Liz Cam now. And I could run. She can't.
2 to get out of the danger zone. But that sure was fast.
It's not a particularly fast
I don't
ghost.
even know where to begin looking for this ghost.
I need some sort of evidence, Lizzie. Gotta get something, honey. I'm sorry. We got nothing to go on besides it hunted early and we start with reduced sanity, so I can't even be sure about demon.
Okay. Staff hallway? Do I see any gorbs around?
How's my corpse looking? Oh, captured mid-hunt. That's how my corpse is looking.
Oh, I wonder what Sarah's yelling at me right now from the afterlife.
Sick Jan, do do do. Sick Jan, do do do. Sick Jan, ba ba da ba da. Sick Jan. That's what.
I don't want to go back in. I'm moved.
You're gonna have to go back in. I had to do
literally
it.
zero idea other than
Hit the
you know what?
camera.
I'm marking Yuri. We lost our sanity pretty fast, and I'm just gonna. What's he doing? He's doing something in there without me. But I'm marking Yuri, and I'm pressing go because I'm a little weenie bitch. Goodbye. I don't want to be alone right now.
I was right.
Died.
Corpse ready for you.
Fucking bullshit.
I was right. Like, man, that hunted really fast. Fuck it, demon.
It was a demon.
Fucking
And my guess was Yuri because of how low my sanity was, but I'm realizing now that you died. And that's probably why that was as low as it was.
Sarah dies.
Right.
I got it right. I got it right with secondary evidence even. Fuck you.
Hell yeah.
Which is good because we got nothing else to go on.
Yeah. That was fast.
I'm a little sad no one clipped me. I'm not gonna lie.
I'll go ahead and do... I was surprised.
Because I
didn't
was...
die.
You're like, I wonder what Sarah's screaming at me right now, and I was dancing around you
I
singing
did.
Sick Jan. So... How you doing?
I'm just trying to mark stuff off on bingo.
Cool, I'm gonna run my 1 minute ad.
I'm not truck bitch.
Ugh. So you have your auto
I
ads
did
on,
get
huh?
spooked though.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, was the bunny
This is
spiky
one
last
thing for you
time?
to pay attention to. What?
The bunny has spikes now. Did the bunny have spikes before? Am I crazy? I swear this thing keeps getting scarier. It's also making spooky sounds. Is it just because we turn up the difficulty? Is that what does it?
No, it could be. I did take some brain meds.
The nice thing about the
Okay.
the double money XP thing is I think even though I died, I made a profit on that. Alright, so
I got penalized for guessing the wrong ghost.
I'm gonna say only one thing goes up and you pick what, because you lived.
Okay. Let me see. Oh, right, our sanity drain speed's at 150% too.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Oh, wrong button.
Apparently the fact that we have no the more grace period we have, the less sprinting is worth. So since we have sprinting off and we want to maximize that, we need to make so when a ghost starts hunting, we can't do shit about it. Just to really hate ourselves.
I think we should lower the fingerprint duration.
Getting a little hard to choose, is it?
Yeah.
Alright.
We could lower the number of hiding places instead, but
I like my hiding place. This is
I
good
think
as,
fingerprint duration.
with no running. I think I want
Yeah.
to delay that as long as we can. I'm down to get revenge on that. That sucked ass. Ugh.
Keep it right. Check the equipment and get set up before investigating. Because here seems to be
Ghost picture. Incense while chasing.
Don't take a closer look.
Firelight.
Maybe using it will help your investigation.
Need my stupid dots pen, and you know what? I'm not even gonna take a camera. If I see something, I'm just gonna scream at you. How's that sound? I'm taking incense with me. I'm tired of this shit.
Sounds good.
Actually, I'll ditch the flashlight, and I'll take the camera. That works. Actually, if we stick together, I could take the temp thing, and then you get more coverage of the rooms, I guess.
True.
All right, let's do that. Let's pray the fucking fuse box is something we actually find this time.
Oh, I found it.
Yeah?
You were dead when I found it.
Oh, did I die in front of it by chance? Was it on my back?
I heard you die, and then I happened to see that it was in the room I was hiding in.
Worst part is I could swear I heard you die. And I went, oh shit, Liz is dead. And I turned around and then the ghost got me.
Oh, yeah.
Alright, there we go. We got...
I mean, I did hear the ghost keep hunting for a really long time, so maybe it made it sound like you died, and it didn't actually you died.
We have power, we have lights.
Ah, found the cursed object already.
What was it?
Music box.
Fucking hate music box.
Literally right here next to these cacti.
There are no bones in this room. Or not bones, no bunnies. I miss bones all the time. Don't trust me on bones. I'm dumb as hell.
No buns. I don't see any bones.
It is 5 degrees. It might be in the hallway again. Non-zero chance.
On the bone.
Hey, you fucking did. It's 10 degrees in here, so I'm really thinking hallway. No bunny. Bunny. I can't even grab these doors for the hiding place. That's fucking weird. Yeah, that's doing great. As ever. I like the arrangements you can find the bunnies in sometimes, so they're very fun.
You're having a meeting.
Okay, so yeah, it is 12 degrees in here and 5 degrees with
I'm
breath
getting
in the
some
hallway.
EMF reading here.
In the hallway, I'm gonna turn on the light in here. Fuck this bitch. There. Limited sanity drain in hallway. Fuck you.
Alright, I'm gonna throw that down next to that.
Sanity management gonna be huge. No hiding. It just turned off one of the lights over here, I thought. Maybe not. Might have been your flashlight. Nothing.
Here's where the Ouija board is.
I thought you already
There's
found the
this
thing.
box, and then the... Yeah, I'm just telling you where it is for next time.
Okay. Here's one.
Alright, we're
Bunny.
looking for bunnies.
Bunny.
There's where the summoning circle would be. I heard it that time.
Yep. Those get us extra points for the spring thing. Mind you, the most points is if we get the ghost right, but still. Again, it's really easy to forget your sanity because of the whole lights everywhere thing. So that's part of why we keep going crazy so fucking
I'm gonna
fast.
have my camera out, but I need to be really careful not to right-click.
There's Bunny. Just jumping in my face. Don't worry about it. I'm fine. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to disturb you. That one was taking shit. You and I will be drenched in subpoenas.
Our voodoo doll's out here somewhere. And then when there are tarot cards, they're next to the cash register.
Your husband's making it sound like you're haunted.
Yeah, he's dying out there.
Well, maybe homeboy should look into edibles. I don't fucking know. Damn.
He does edibles.
That's insane. Okay.
No, I agree. The amount of weed this man does.
It's oh, we're being hunted. We're being hunted.
God damn!
Fuck off. Hey, did you know I had incense that whole time? Don't worry about it. Well, that's unfortunate. How cray-cray am I? Oh, it's busy in there. Really? Oh my god! Okay, excuse me really quick. I'm just gonna... Don't worry about it. Alright. Wow. That dropped activity immediately. That's a notable thing. There's one that actually gets more chill when you're sane. Okay. Well, at the start, when you're sane, grab this. Grab that. And, grab this. We ain't no bitch in this house. We ain't no bitch. We gonna do it. We're gonna solve this and avenge our dead new friend. And we're gonna solve it so good, she comes back to life. I'm that good. That good, bitch. Okay. I'll make some noises, slut. What we got? Okay, we do not have freeze. No freezing yet. I turn the lights off. Be brave. Is it safe? Are you nearby? Why did you break Deanna's sweet, sweet neck? Are you a little bitch? Okay, fuck you. Oh. Sure. Okay, I'm not getting spirit box right away. Still fine. Fine. Let's think about our next move. I have moves. Check out my fucking moves. That's going down fairly quickly. Now that screams EMF 5. There are multiple things there where I feel very confident that EMF 5 is on the table. But where? Okay, now we're grabbing this. I'm gonna grab this one. Sure. I like not being dead. Mind you, it's in a giant room where the radius won't even begin to cover it, but it's a start. It did talk while I was in the room, so it's not that it doesn't make any actions. Not a shade, I don't think. Is it safe? Are you friendly? Clearly. Oh, we got spirit box. You do that again? Say something. How did you die? How old are you? Right. Okay. That's something. Evidence. That's spirit box. Good start. I try to remember this shit so I can actually get the. I gotta get a photo of the corpse still. Right, I don't think I've done any of that. No, I need a photo of her corpse. It's a freebie. And I need any further evidence that actually helps us know what the hell was going on. Yay! Grab a motion sensor. I forget which of these is better. I think it's this one. And book's still open. Hasn't thrown it. Okay, we're gonna grab. That's right, the other crucifix. I want to cover this fucking hallway. I can turn the light back on because we don't need spirit box anymore. Awesome, awesome, great. Good start. I am slowly going great. By slowly I mean at an extended rate while moving like I just don't know how to walk. Okay. There's EMF 5. Saw it. Didn't capture it, but I saw it. There's a pretty decent coverage. Oh boy, turned off my shit. Still not freezing. Doing events and shit. Asshole. Turned off the lights and or moving them out. Motherfucker. Okay, so we have EMF 5 for sure. I guarantee it. That drops us to a handful of things. Ghost writing would be spirit. Ghost orb would be Dion. I don't see those. Freezing temps would be twins. I don't see that. UV would be Galu. Dots would be Wraith. Wraith would also not step in Salt, so I think Salt is our next bet, as well as bringing in some fucking incense. Would be smart at this point. Our hiding locations are quite limited, so we do need to pay attention to that. We have no video. Has not touched the book yet, to my knowledge. We're not getting orbs. Unless the orbs are to the left. That's nauseating. Orbs are not to the left. Yeah, I'm going to say orbs are off the table. Let's do it full circle for fun. Okay. So we're going to say not orbs. That means die on off the table. Okay, freezing temps I haven't seen yet, and until I see otherwise, gone. That gets rid of the twins, which doesn't check out anyway. It's very high activity. Not necessarily super hostile. My money is on UV. Problem is, I can't run. Okay, I'm going to do that photo of Liz. I'm going to throw this on the ground. I'm going to throw my incense inside the door because I need to bring two things in with me. So we're going to do that. What's this corpse get? Book check. Untouched. Sounds done. Okay, sounds are done. We did sounds. Sounds full. Cool. Videos look like they're not going to be on the table, but that's fine. We're not going for perfect. She's dead, for fuck's sake. We're going for knowing for sure what the fuck the ghost is. And whatever I can get in the process, even better. I will grab this. I will grab this. And I will grab... I fucked up. That works. We don't need much. Okay, we need to know if it has UV. We need to know if it'll touch salt. Either of those would tell me a lot. Enough so that I'm going to mark Wraith for now. Just in case I don't get salt. If it steps into salt, it's not a Wraith. That is secondary evidence check. If it does step into salt, we check for UV, and we can eliminate Wraith. Okay. I'm getting the motion sensor when I'm not. It stepped in salt. You know it's not a Wraith. I didn't get to check for UV. UV would be the tell. The problem is UV would require me to actually catch it stepping in the salt without it killing me first. The other one is Ghost Riding. It hasn't interacted with the book yet. That would be Spirit. Interesting problems. Okay. Give me another one. Give me a backup salt. Give me this. Shut up. It's stepping to work. It's not okay. I am 90% certain I know what this is. I'm done. It's very hostile. Liz has been dead a long time. It's not ghostwriting. It's a gallows. I am pretty sure. Okay, let's go back to the truck, and I'll run through my logic in case she's hiding in there, so she knows what I picked. That's where I'm at. Thank you, Tumbleweed. All right, Lizzie. I don't know if you were hiding in here or not, but I'm going to run through my logic just in case. We have EMF 5. We have Spirit Box. I have confirmed no ghost writing. I've confirmed no freezing temperatures. I have not seen ghost orbs or dots this whole time. I am pretty sure I would have. And dots is for Wraith. It's stepped in salt. It's definitely not a Wraith. It also was the most pissed when I used incense and shit like that. I guess that does kind of check out. I'm going with Galler. Of the evidence we have and of the evidence we've ruled out, ultraviolet is the thing I have not been able to catch. That would be the Galler. I have not had a good opportunity. I was chased out of the room when it went in the salt. I think it's that. You are welcome to disagree with me. I'm going to hit the button. 3, 2, 1. I'm hitting the button. Sorry you've been dead for so long. Ugh. Verdict. Nice. Okay.
Good shout.
What?
Good job sussing that one out.
That sucked. that sucked. Survived the hunt.
Yeah.
We got Spirit Box. We got. Yeesh. EMF 5. I did not manage to catch you, V. Stepped in salt. Sound was filled. I didn't actually comment on your body much, did I? Did you say you found the music box that run, or was that the last one?
Yes, it was the music box this time.
Okay. Bro, I braved it alone, alright. Okay. Oops, someone's insane. That was me.
I kind of got sassy with the ghost.
Okay, I'm joining my own bingo now. I got one round left of me, and then I gotta call it, because she's supposed to be sleeping. Mind you, she is sleeping. She is stoned. Alright. So, I lived. I get to pick one, and then we have to agree on one. I don't hate myself that much. We could disable flashlights.
We could also not do that.
Yeah. Frequency, activity level, benefit, friendly ghost, grace period, hunt duration. Kills extend hunts. Longer? Doesn't do anything. Kills extend hunts has no impact on our fucking reward score at all. I guess because it's limited to multiplayer. Huh?
Yeah, I guess that tracks.
Okay. Time, weather, door starting open. That's an easy, cheap one. Not knowing how crazy you are. Not having the activity monitor. Fuck you. Just no fuse box ever. Fuck you more. But since you have flashlights, it doesn't amount to much. Disabling cursed possession is the big reward. I don't want to do that, though, because that fucks over most of the bingo. I think I'm going to make hunts longer. What would you like to do for our agreed one? Sounds good to you.
I have no idea.
Oh, did you know there's an infinite sprinting option, but it disables all rewards?
Wow. That's mean.
We can reduce our sanity pills further and thus get a very small amount extra. We can have our sanity drain even faster and get a huge amount. That'll break us over 3x rewards, actually. We can drop our speed because we hate ourselves. Huh?
Then we'll both die and we can turn sprinting back on.
That's true. You're right. Double sanity drain. You're so right. And that way, when we turn sprinting back on, we'll still be getting 2.5. You're a genius.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, you spent most of that dead. Where do you want to get murdered?
Let's do. Well, the Grafton Farmhouse is so spooky, though.
It doesn't have to be an event map if you don't want. We can go hide in Tanglewood if you want. It is the last one I've got for the night, so whatever's fun for you.
I'm down to just do the diner again, honestly.
All right, I do like the diner. It's fine. Oops.
Yeah.
How's my money? 2,000 is not
It's
enough
nice
to
big
do.
loop.
Well, I could buy upgraded salt. I can also get upgraded sanity meds. Which just work faster. What do you fucking do? Or I can wait at the firelight. I think... Ooh, 3,000 get level 2 sound recorder. I want that. I refuse to play alone until I have a decent sound recorder. I hate the level 1 sound recorder. It's a piece of shit. Sorry.
Yeah.
Alright. Partying. Boom. Alright.
Alright, what do we got? We got photo camera, three photos, basic insights, and prevent hunting with crucifix.
I'm changing up my strategy. I'm going to look for the bunnies after I know where the ghost is, so I can do it with an incense in my hand. Turns out, I like living. Don't forget your firelight.
Yeah, it's usually preferable to dying.
Your lighter. Otherwise, when you want it, you won't have it, and it'll be the end of life. Okay, here's what we're doing. We're going to peek in the fucking window here. A peek in the window. That's not the fuse box. Okay, it's not in there. That's not it over there. That's a poster. Okay. Okay. I'm seeing how much I can get away without actually going in the fucking building.
Yeah.
I thought our flashlights were flickering already. I was like, you motherfucker. Oh, hey. Right, I'm gonna go this way, you go that way. We'll see if we can find this fucking thing. Oh, the fridge would be a bitch. Don't even bother with the fridge. If it's in the fridge, you're never gonna know. Wait, for real? Are you for real?
Welcome back.
Well,
For you.
How long was that? How was that $500? We walked in the door and got Oh, because I got a daily done. I'm sorry, that was a minute and 20 seconds.
$36.
That was not even a minute
I'm
and a
surprised it was
half.
that long.
A minute and 18 seconds.
I was apparently in the ghost room for 7 seconds.
Like, I was like, okay, I'll turn on some lights. Oh my god, it's already hunting. I thought my mouse was broken. Holy shit. A Raiju? How the fuck?
Well, I mean, I guess Raijus do hate electricity, right?
Hey, not that much. Like, there's not even a detailed nothing. A minute. What in the goddamn? All right, we both agree we want sprinting back on, right?
Yeah.
Oh no, we're down to
It
2.5.
seems like it would have helped there.
I literally was making eye contact like, you're kidding me. It knew exactly where I fucking was. I was like, you piece of shit. Oh my god. I'm not counting that. We're doing another. That was bullshit.
Okay.
On my old computer, that would have been less than the loading screen. That was ass. Christ. I even went in trying to play it safe.
Crucifix, sound recorder,
75.
low sanity. We should be well equipped for that
I'm
one.
gonna have to look up what the fuck happened there. I don't know what happened. I don't know why it hunted that early. Oh my gosh. Found it. We've had some bitches tonight. And not the fun kind. Power is on.
Tarot cards? No.
Fucking lights. Be too pissy. That was rude as hell. Like, holy shit. Hi.
On the bone and the cursed object.
Nice. What's the curse?
Music box.
Less nice. It's in the closet.
Strong EMF reading right here.
It's over here.
Over there.
The little closet over here, the bathroom. Just turn off the fucking lights. This whore. It's 4 degrees in here.
Yeah, it's pretty cold.
Okay. Ugh. Oh, we're already doing better than last time. Jeez. I will now begin looking for
We were able
bunnies.
to go inside once without dying.
Yeah, with more than a minute before getting killed by the world's pissiest Raiju. You turned on the fuse box. Die. Like, damn. You know what? That's a good idea. Okay. Here's what we do. Grabbing the dots pen. I'm going to grab a couple things I can put in the room. Real quick and easy like. Hey. Damn. I'm still not over that. That was brutal. It was a mean bitch. Yep, Jen. It's in my head now. You did this to me. Oh. No bunnies in here. You don't have to claim a home office. Okay, so why didn't it open last time if there's stuff in it so we can't use it anyway this time? I don't Okay. Whatever, man. Oh, bunny.
Be friendly.
Just don't be gold if I can help it, please.
You want to hurt us?
Everything's my fault. Have that. Or have this too.
Don't hurt us. Are you friendly?
2 bunnies.
How did you die?
I did not grab incense. That would have been smart of me.
Are you friendly? You want to hurt me?
Ah. Oh. No. It's fun. We've officially hit the difficulty. You might want to grab a crucifix, actually. We've hit the difficulty where it no longer tells us if the ghost responds more when you're alone or together.
It's true.
Apparently. That's not a toggle, actually. It's just a number, I guess. Sick, yeah. Spreading evil, 'cause I can. Right. Free bunny. Or bunny.
Are you friendly?
Around that arcade machine. Wait, what? There is music playing in the break room. I got a photo of Ghost Right. Yeah, Ghost Right. For sure. Please tell me she's not dead.
I accidentally got dorm.
You accidentally got an orb?
No, I accidentally got door moved twice. We got dots.
We got
Flashed on
dots.
the screen for just a second. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, that's going to be a hard one to get dots with. I can bring in the other projector, though. It'll help. Do you want to try to get ghost writing on video?
Do.
Take it in. I'll put it on Lit Toilet or something. We'll figure it out. Oh,
Yeah.
look, we actually got evidence. We got two
Almost
things.
got dot ghosts.
What? Almost, yeah.
True. Ghost writing and dots.
And I'm doing, like, really good on sanity. That's nice. I'm not crazy. I'm very, very sane. And if you do not like that, I'll break out your brains. I'll splatter your skull until it takes a toll. By which I mean you'll die, over which I won't cry. Because you insulted me. And I am stable mentally, but I can't handle that. No, I can't handle that. No, I can't handle that. Be nice to me or I will cry. Be nice to me or I will cry. We have UV. Obambo. Yo, I don't know what the fuck an Obambo is, but it's an Obambo. Hi, Milo. Obambo.
I bet if we looked at the timeline over there, that'd make sense.
What?
So the Obamba's the one that flips between being like, it's the bipolar one. It's either aggressive or calm.
Obambo. Never properly labeled as fickle and defensive, it flickers between states of calm and aggression. Huh. I don't think I've ever dealt with an
I
Obambo.
bet if we looked at the
Thing.
I walked through my camera, but I didn't get it.
Maybe I should back the camera up slightly. Think that would help?
Yeah, maybe.
Obambo's very stable mentally. And I know this cause it's got 6 bombos that say that. Oh, bombo, 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 bombi bee. I'm a very normal person. Don't you fucking diss me. I'll punch you in your testes. Don't you fucking test me. I'll throw you a fucking bone. Wrong, Milo. It really helps us. We need sound. Need sound. We got none sound. Okay, there's a non-zero chance of a perfect game here. Right? Like, we got the bone. We just need sounds. If we just get sounds, we're golden.
Yeah.
I don't know where your good sound recorder is. Are you holding it by chance?
It's on the floor next to your feet.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Mayu! Mayu! Stop being a bitch. I'm almost done. I'm almost done.
Yo, it's watching me? Do we have all the general tasks done?
No, we don't have any of them done.
What? What are they?
Prevent it from hunting with a crucifix. Get 2 unique paranormal sounds.
Just...
And the other one. Average sanity below 25%.
Oh. Wanna blow up my fire? This off a crucifix? Thanks, that's one thing. Huge. Okay, I need you to make one more cool sound for me. You could scream. You could sing us a song. You could corner me in a room until I piss myself and fart from fear. That probably counts as paranormal. Crucifix burning. Already wrote my book, so that ain't it.
I turned out the lights. Do not worry.
You could show yourself. Oop, it's doing something. Laughing at me. Very normal.
Alright.
Okay, what the fuck is... It was the phone. That was someone's ringtone this whole time. Okay.
Incense buddy. I'm standing on top of the crucifix, and there's also one in here, right? Yeah. So we just gotta wait, I think.
It threw that. It threw paper at you. And then it ran away. Like, did you see that? It fucking skedaddled.
Did see that.
It fucking vamoosed.
Bullshit. Hey,
It laughs like a man, though.
just threw a plunger.
Do we have a cheap photo you want to replace? Like, holy shit. Like, we could get a photo of it going through dots, and that counts as a ghost photo. We're like $10. I'm doing it. I'm getting rid of EMF reading. It's easy to
But
replace.
it's worth $5 more than the fingerprint.
Kill the EMF reading. I'm gonna get a good photo. Or die. One of the two. Oh, don't you hide now, chuckle fuck.
Well, it's in a calm state now.
For real?
We just gotta wait.
Fine, I got a burning crucifix. That's still worth $10. That's way better. Are we crazy yet?
I don't think so. Not yet, no.
Alright. Well, I'm not going to stand right where it spawns if I can help it, so... You're right. The good hiding spot's over here. You're so right. Oh, you're checking our numbers. That's smart. That's a smart thing to do. You know, while you... I was going to say update my bingo, but I should check my numbers too. We should all check our numbers. Remember, kids, check your numbers.
We should be good. There you are.
Oh, yeah, we're done. We did it. We did all of it. That's perfect.
Woohoo!
Perfect
We
game.
did all the thing.
Everyone suck our pinot. Yeah, that's right. Bam. Throw your garlic around. Definitely what that is. You got it marked.
Just double check. I got that. Yar.
Sick. I'm hitting the bouton.
Bicycle.
Mamma mia. Show me the money, horse.
I've got some jobs ready for you.
Oh, that feels good. Oh, 2,600. Oh, yes. Liz, we might have to find time for an extra round this week at this rate. That's money. That's good.
For real. Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, extra 400. You're right. I needed that. Let's see. We got Ghost Writing. Boy, did we get Dot's Ghost. We got UV. There was a motion sensor in there. Build our photos. Build our videos. Perfect game.
Well.
Ghost
That was
video.
apparently my 100th contract.
Nice.
And I can upgrade
Ghost
my
blew out
igniter.
fire. Alright. And I'm going to go into my card. I don't have a bingo yet. That's infuriating. I have 4 out of 5 in about 6 different places. Chaos event. Red light event. Tarot cards. Fuck me. Hides in the truck. Flirts with the ghost. Boo. Alright.
See what my bingo was.
Okay, so that means we have to make 4 things harder, though.
Oh no. We're running out of things to make harder.
That's the problem. This goes up to like 12x, actually. So, I have a really mean one. We got our sprinting back, right?
Never that sure what this means. Yes.
Ooh, okay, so our multiplier, if I drop our overall move speed, is reduced by sprinting being on and the grace period existing. Grace period is the problem. Now, here's the thing. I don't feel anything from grace period. I'm going to drop it. That's my pick. What's your pick, Lizzie? Whatever pick you want, I can't argue with.
Drop the grace period again.
All right. Now, what's the one we can agree on? Want to drop that a third time?
Sure.
Okay. We got to agree on another one, though. Now, that 1 second could save our lives.
Music box that time.
We can make the hunts longer.
Ghostwriting. Thoughts ghost.
We can make it give 0 evidence.
That'd be really mean.
That is mean. We can reduce the odds of a fingerprint. We can make them last less time. Those are both very small. Weather's as hard as it gets. We can make more doors open at the start. Reduce the number of hiding places. Disable one of our monitors. Disable the fuse box, so it's just dark forever, but that is limited until we turn flashlights off, so it's not worth it. And we can remove the cursed possession entirely, which is actually worth quite a bit. But is quite useful sometimes. We can also disable our flashlights, make ourselves slower, disable running again, reduce sanity pills or starting sanity.
Oh. Make the ghost faster.
Make the ghost faster. Hunt duration, kills, evidence. Is the ghost speed? Sandy, number, doors, weather, setup. Starting, standing, pills, sprinting, player
We
speed.
could reduce the number of hiding places.
I thought there was a ghost speed. I can't find the ghost speed.
Yeah, it's under ghost.
Ghost speed. Make him faster.
The very first one.
Making him faster gets us a solid 25% bonus. So I'll point out last time was at 2.5. This is now 3.4.
Ooh. We're gonna have such a good time next time.
Oh, yeah. Such a good time. Mind you, I didn't have a bad time this time. It's just, we did both live last time. We both lived.
Yeah.
We finally had a round where we both lived.
Perfect gaming.
Yeah. Yeah. We did good. Perfect game. No death. I have $5,000. What am I getting with it? I get a better candle. I get a better sound recorder. Getting a better sound recorder. Oh, I can almost get better salt, too.
Hell yeah.
I can almost get the better salt. Lizzie. Salt. Okay. Incense is up to 2. Sound recorder's up to 2. Doing better. We're doing better. And I am 41% of the way to Cursed Hollow Cosmetics, a thing I've already done before, so I'm not sure why I'm doing it again. That's annoying. Apparently I have to fill that bar to start it, to start my trophy upgrades. So that makes me a small PP angry girl. Look at it. It's
Yeah, that tracks.
You can't even see it. Granted, from my perspective, I can't even see anything. I don't have a body. So I am very invisible. On the upside, we have only gotten 8 correct ones on the diner. That's mine. I don't even know about yours. Wow. I thought I had done way more of the minor. Englewood now has its own ID card and badge.
Ooh.
Oh, Lizzie, do you want to do a fucking Tanglewood just to say we did?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah, it'll take like 5 minutes, right?
Yeah, they took away our fucking... They made me start over on the thing, and I'm all mad. I wanted the trophy upgrade, whatever. Fuck it. Tanglewood. That'll give people a chance to get that bingo. So...
Yeah.
Gotta get that bingo, right? It's for the content, Liz. It's for the content. The content, the fact that my wife has not stopped snoring this whole time. That weed is awesome. People send us weed money, please. Holy shit.
Right. Three photos, 2 sounds, and escape the ghost during a hunt.
Okay. This we can do. And I don't have to look for bunnies this time, so you have me on my full attention. And mind you, that multiplier still sticks,
True.
and I think the seasonal thing still sticks. We just can't get points today because it's not on the map. I would love to see it on the map. I know it can be on the map. I believe Nels was new for this year, and this will be new for this year because they didn't have the map last year. Fucked. Check A.
Already getting EMF reading right here.
Garage hiding space open, bone found. Fuse box in basement.
doll.
Found voodoo doll. That's good.
Uh-oh.
That's an event. That is a spooky, scary event. Door opens this way. It is 7 degrees in hallway. That is my best lead so far.
I was getting a pretty strong EMF reading just in this general area.
Master bedroom closet also open.
Did you find the bone?
Yes, I reported that. I said it on the
Okay.
thingy, I thought.
Well, I see the picture of it, so I believe you.
Lizzie, am I a liar?
Not usually.
Did you throw shit all over the room in here?
No.
It's 4
I
degrees
think
in
the
here.
ghost might be like,
This seems promising.
yeah, that tracks.
Alright. I think it's here. Camera's in there. Let's see how cuckoo bananas I am. Nice shot.
Gnoming.
I don't know what you're talking about. Who would do that? Some sort of freak. Yeah, we can check through the window. Walls. Lights just flickered in there. Ooh. That was creepy. I walked in and recorded something. I didn't even see what.
I walked in and it fucking shot out all the lights.
Don't do it. Liz, I think he just ran up behind me and said, hey.
Are you friendly?
Clearly. Oh my god, more stream boo. Fuck stream boo. Leave me alone. Go ban the word stream boo. Yo, boy, we crazy. We crazy AF.
I mean, I guess that tracks.
We have orbs. I hit record and I didn't get them, but we have orbs. Oh,
Orbs?
it's already recorded. That's nice then. I'm glad they don't keep the fucking orbs. You get a bunch of ads for Stream Boo on yours. What
I
do
don't
you
think I've seen a single robot that wants to sell me a stream boo yet.
I guess I'm just special. They sense a bitch who loves attention.
Orbs. It's ghost events.
Shit, it sure is. So are the lights out or are the lights shattered in there? Is this a valid
Orbs.
question?
Oh, you know. Alright.
Okay, the lights are out. I'm gonna turn the lights back on. You can totally hear me back in that room. My hiding spot's still here. Yes. Good. Start locking the word stream boo. I think I can set it to do that. Yo, check that out. Right. Can't put the book on that? You're high.
Be friendly.
Oh, behind you. Oh, dots. I didn't have a camera on me, or that would have been sick.
Right?
There's fingerprints. I don't have camera.
Camera. I have camera.
And we know for sure dots and orbs in UV. Have we got a photo of EMF yet?
Rolling some shit. I think so. Yeah.
It's a banshee, so it's going to pick one of us. If you see dots, watch which one it runs towards. That's who it's targeting. I'm going to put this over here instead. Hopefully that gives slightly... Well? Got a recording of that? I'll go get the other one. Hmm. Ghost event recording was a duplicate. Yeah.
Rude. How dare it? How insane am I? Insanely insane. I'm gonna take
I
this
mean,
last sandy bed.
if it's draining you particularly quickly, that's another sign you're the target. Just keep something on
I mean,
you.
it also, like, whispered at me the second you left.
Good sign. Good sign. We need 2 more sounds. Crucifix burning should count. Light being blown out will count. We need 4 videos. That seems super likely. I'm doing what I can. Got 2.
Turn off.
Any luck?
I got almost got a Dot's ghost. But no.
Should have grabbed you. Have ideas. I have ideas. That'll work. We need photo still, or are we done? We're done with photo. That's what B. Hello. Out cold. How you feeling? Ow. Please say that worked.
If you're talking about the Dot's ghost, I almost got it.
About the salt. Alright, it's mad at me, which means if you're in the house, you're totally fucking safe. So do with that information what you will, you lucky whore.
We just gotta do.
You want to talk to me, blow out my fire, burn my crucifix, you know, really anything. I just need sound. You know. Talk. As long as it's not a ghost event, I'm pretty happy. Ghost fire out, gotten. Like, you just get to talk to me, we'd be golden. That also works. Sounds are done. I just gotta escape it during a hunt.
Nice.
What's the cursed object this time?
Voodoo doll.
Not ideal. Okay. Kiss me. Mwah.
Congratulations on your living.
Damn right. Paul. 2 perfects in a row.
Hell yeah.
Want a 420 blaze it? Load $20.
Ah, yes. I think both of us do all the time.
Ah, yeah. We're both super stoners. We're definitely not the relatively sober ones in our respective relationships. All right.
It's definitely not.
You got Banshee marked.
I got Banshee marked.
All right. Let's call it.
Let's get out of here before she finds the truck.
Oh, no. Almost won. We're done. Oh, it was our Tanglewood hair. You were sleeping so good. We was like, oh, whatever. You've been out.
Right.
No, I'm not complaining.
Welcome back.
I guess that's the first time I figured out the Banshee.
Nice. Achievement for you. You know what else you get?
Yep.
You know what else you get, Liz?
So much fucking money.
$3,600.
$4,000.
Oh. That's the upside
Hell
of this.
yeah.
This keeps getting harder, but like, look at us get paid when we get it.
Oh. Hello, Nutmeg. Do you have an opinion? You big wolf. Good job.
I got me like a level and a half. How you doing? That almost got me
It's
2
still
levels.
going for me.
I hit skip. I was like, I'm done.
I got $500 for leveling up.
Nice. Flash sprinting.
Yeah, just about a level and a half.
What's the thing? Insurance. Is insurance just based on difficulty? Yes, dear.
I think it is.
Juice on the.
We'll call that pet on stream.
Let me just bait you the cup. Here.
Also bark bark.
Okay, well let me wrap up then. Trying to get on. It's way past time, but we're having a fun time. We're having fun. We're being naughty and having fun. Shockingly, those two things were related, but not as sexual as they sound.
Did I mark off that I was Chuck Bitch already? Maybe.
Oh right, we need to do our bingos. Okay.
I need to put a point in here for perfect game.
Orbs.
And also both survive.
We did get a video of the dots, did we?
I think we did.
Well, I mean, we have our photos on the wall somewhere, don't we? They took it down for the event board. Fuck me. Okay. Bummer. I don't care about the leaderboard that much. Okay. Let's see. I'll give it to you. Fuck it. Ghost photo. I'm gonna say not enough money because I couldn't afford the other thing I wanted. But now I probably can.
None of the ghosts have responded positively to "Do you want to hurt me tonight?" and that's interesting.
I'm sorry.
At the voodoo doll.
Prop shenanigans. I did play with that. Malco won again. But he can't be evil now because we're done for the night.
Gnoming. Gnoming, gnoming, gnoming.
I need a red light event. That sucks so much.
Moved the nose.
I need almost anything on my board. Alright. Anyone left lurking who wants points for the bingo leaderboard? Malka, I'll give you... Actually, you know what? We can do this because it is... I'm going to call random. Calling random. Boom. Freezing temps.
Alright, let's see.
Didn't help me. Okay. Here's... Fuck us. Malka, you won bingo. You get to pick one thing to make harder. Same as last time. Whatever floats your boat on here.
Alright, Malka also won on my bingo.
Oh, fuck us. You have to pick two things to make harder. And you can only turn off sprinting once, you bitch. Alright, Liz, you won. What's one thing you want to make harder?
No sprinting, no flashlights.
No sprinting, no flashlights, no fuse box, no...
No.
No ghost? What? It's really mean.
I think I will be lowering the number of hiding spaces.
Hiding spaces. Down to a medium. Alright. None. Fuck off. Okay. Lower player speed for both. You monster. He really just wants us to be slow as fuck.
Oh, no.
That does get us up to 4x.
We're gonna have to both die twice to fix that one.
Mind you, if we turn off sprinting, we get 5x. So there's that. We'll just be molasses. Okay, I need to pick what I want for mine, right? I'm gonna turn up the roaming frequency because, I don't know, it makes it easier to capture shit in a weird way. Doesn't do much, actually. Change favorite room actually also doesn't do much. Really? Oh, you have to pair favorite room with roaming. Ew!
Ugh.
Okay. No grace period. Fuck it. That's mine. What's yours? Oh, wait. You already did yours, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so now we have to agree on two.
Mine was lower hiding places.
It was a perfect game, so we have to agree on... Yep, because we won and it was perfect. Did you not see this part of the game coming? Where this just gets stupid?
We can lower the fingerprint chance.
Ooh, all right. Let me find that. Fingerprint chance. I don't mind that, sure. That only gives us 0.02. That's awful. Are you sure? For 25% less odds of fingerprint, we get 0.27 instead of 0.25.
That doesn't seem like a good return on investment there. Want to turn off our sanity monitor?
You know, that could be fun. We're always fucking crazy. All right, that's 4
Just
point.
pop our sanity meds at the start of the map and just go from there.
Unless we drop the amount of evidence given, any multipliers above 4x will only add half of their value. I'm not ready to do that next.
I mean, no.
I get it, but no. Okay. We gotta agree on one more. Want to make it so the ghost can roam more?
Yeah, alright.
It can't change. We haven't done favorite room yet. We both just avoided that one like the fucking plague because it's obnoxious. But it can roam all at once.
Yeah,
That's it, like Matt.
that.
But that is a big one. So we are up to 4.3%, 4.3x. As a reminder, we started the day below 2. It is escalating quickly, and it is running out of ways to escalate. And again, if we both die, we start creeping things back up. And it also, again, if you have bingo, you are allowed to turn something easier. We're not if we win, but you're allowed if you bingo. Should we make it if we bingo, we're allowed to too, or does that encourage too much cheating? If we win, it has to be harder. If we win, we have to make it harder, but if someone else wins, then they can make it easier if they want. Fine. For the sake of argument, I'm going to look at this real quick. If we drop the number of evidence to 2, it would be 5.08. And if we drop it to 1, we're now getting our full rewards of 6.65. At no evidence, it's 8.6.
Wow.
So, but for now, we're at 4.33 for next time. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Hey, check this out. Hold on. Hold on. There's a button for this. There's a button for this. If I can you hear me now? Oh. There. See if that works. Wait. Will that work? Will that work? Can I rejoin? I rejoined. Did that work? Hello? Sorry.
Hello?
I backed out of the menu. I was going to say our goodbyes, and instead I said nothing and vanished into the night.
You fool.
I am a fool. Okay. Is there anything we'd like to tell the chat before we go?
Please play bingo and win and be nice to us. This time.
Okay, in their defense, we have kept winning. Also, that rabbit is glowing now.
True.
I am certain this thing's getting crazier as we turn up the difficulty. I do not remember this aura above it before.
Seems like it, yeah.
I think
I remember all these bugs.
I remember some bugs, but like
There's a lot of bugs.
that's a lot of bugs. And it just seems like it's getting pissier as we go, frankly. Maybe a little redder too, actually. I don't know. All right. Well, we'll piss off the bunny next time. We'll have to pick a time. The bonus rewards are so good. That 2x paired with everything else we got going on means is if we die, it's not the most painful thing in the world. Kind of negates itself, right? And if we live, we get paid big cash money.
Oh, it's so juicy when we live.
It's so juicy when we live. It's juicier than an innuendo. Insert here. I got nothing. A whore in a bathhouse. I got nothing.
Yeah.
I'm failing my sluttiness here. I'm
Okay, it's late at night for
Yeah.
me,
yeah.
and that can be your excuse.
You can be my excuse. Liz, are you my
While
excuse?
you got nothing.
Oh, I got something.
I don't know, am I?
That's right. I promised to be weird about whatever you put on the floor, and I'm still thinking about them titties, boy. You're gonna be my Easter candy now. Oh.
Oh no.
Oh yes.
Right in front of my poppy.
Right in front of your poppy and your man. I'd be worried about him stopping me, but I'm pretty sure he'd choke on his own fucking smoke before he could catch me. Oh, I'm sorry, Mason. Alright. It's
Okay, he
bedtime.
can't hear you.
It's like an hour past bedtime. I got away with murder. She's got penance tomorrow. I'm a bad girl. But we had fun. We had fun. Right?
Alright, it's bedtime though.
Yeah, it is bedtime. Go to bed, Lizzie.
You go to bed.
I will go to bed, but you know what I gotta do first? I gotta, like, go back to my cave and it's the law. It's the law to go back to the cave.
True.
Now I can point at you. I can stick my finger right up your little chin. I'm stroking you like you're a good kitty. And if I go slightly to the right, I can pick your nose, but it's gonna be kind of like violent. So I'm like just right on the edge of it, like a tease, a mean little tease. And then I can do this. Hey, boy.
Oh no.
Okay. Good night, everybody. I hope we had fun.
Good night.
I'm assuming Star Ocean Wednesday. But honestly, I like money so much it might be this. We'll see.
I'd be down for it to be this.
Yeah.
We'll see.
We'll see. I mean, I really like money. And it gives me an excuse to keep wearing the bunny suit I fucking busted out overnight because it's an Easter event. See, there's the bunny.
True.
Coochie coochie coo bunny, you're a good bunny with your scary horns of death and glowing eyes of murder. I don't think it's a good bunny. But
No, probably not.
you could be my good bunny, baby. Oh. Alright. Good night, everybody. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
See you next time.
Sploosh.